Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kellie.
How are you doing today, Kellie? As though I haven't been talking to you for several minutes already.
I'm fine. I am dealing with a bit of a headache at this moment. So, audience, please forgive me for my
Headache?
brain fog. Yes, headache.
I also feel like I shouldn't break the illusion. We hit record, like we enter the Google Meet call and hit record before we speak to each other. So whatever you're hearing, audience, is the first words we've spoken to each other. So when I say, how are you?
Right.
I don't know the answer.
Right. We're just so, we've been doing this for so long that we just know immediately to open and hit record. Like, there's no fluff.
Yeah. And if, like, we speak before, the other will get mad. Like, I, coughed before, and Kellie's like, shh. I was like, oh, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
I was like, you're ruining the integrity of this podcast.
Yeah.
As we live and breathe.
You know what else is having its integrity ruined, theoretically?
No, I don't. Can you tell me?
A video game whose entire concept is making decisions to get different outcomes being turned into a movie in which there will be one outcome. Until Dawn is getting a movie. You're a bigger fan of it, so your opinions matter more, but I heard it and I was like, that's stupid.
I don't think my opinions matter more. I think that I just have more context, maybe. I don't know. More fandom context. I didn't necessarily think that this was... I don't know. When I first heard this, I was kind of like... I was very confused because for the reasons that you're explaining, there's not really a purpose to making this into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's also inspired by so many movies that, like, I don't know. It's gonna feel peculiar to me to do it this way. Like it's like not reverse engineering. It's just kind of useless in my brain. And maybe it'll be good, but I just think the reason I enjoyed Until Dawn was not the story or the like cinematic nature of it. It was the decisions and seeing the outcome of my decisions.
Yeah, I think that I think that there is an opportunity to make something interesting here. They could kind of go, have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
They could kind of do like a Cabin in the Woods-esque, like very tongue-in-cheek, because that's not necessarily that's the meta nature of the game.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a horror game. You know, these teenagers are about to make dumb decisions. You know that you know, this is all going to get flipped on its head at some point in the game. I think it would be interesting if they explored more of the lore that they explore in the game about how the main antagonizing force came to be. I don't want to. I know Until Dawn is an older game. I don't necessarily want to spoil it because half the fun of that game is the spoilers, that is the big spoilery moments.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spoil anything, but I think if there was more backstory into that, or maybe if we do maybe a different cast of characters, maybe it's not necessarily the exact same characters in the same scenario.
Yeah, like,
but you're
it's
right.
Inspired by, but
yeah, it does feel a little bit like a waste of time, or maybe like counterintuitive, because like the point of the game is that you're playing a movie, basically. So
it feels kind of silly to turn it into a movie, doesn't it?
It does, but we'll see. I'm not really sure that this. I mean, I feel like it's in such an early stage of anything that we will probably learn more, and maybe it'll start to make sense, but as of right now, it does feel kind of silly.
It's also probably going to be forever till we hear more about this, so.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be like Clue, and they'll put a bunch of different versions out there.
I guess that's an interesting idea, but how do you do, like, theater distribution? I just feel like the way...
You send different files to different theaters.
Yeah, I guess in my brain, it's like, in the modern age, it would be... I would be very curious. That's a good idea. That's probably the best idea I can think of.
I just don't know. It's probably very expensive to do something like that. And it wasn't expensive with Clue because it was Clue and it was also made in the 80s.
Yeah.
90s? 80s? Well, it doesn't really matter.
I don't know.
It was made back when movies were just a little bit cheaper to make.
Yeah, like $12.
Maybe. You know what movie probably is not going to be cheap to make, especially with the cast that is expanding every day?
Yeah.
The Minecraft movie.
Uh-huh.
Who received a new star last week. I know that Andrew knows who this person is, and I know who this person is, and I happen to think that I have a really good impression of this person.
Oh, you do.
But now I feel a little bit on the spot.
Can you do an impression of this character announcing that they're gonna, or not this character, this person announcing that they'll be in the films instead of telling us who it is and what movie? Just can you?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. And if you do well, I'll send you a Venmo.
Wow. How much though?
Hang on. You know what? We're gonna.
I'll just do it. You don't have to send me any money.
Hang on. No, this is. I want the audience to know that I'm a man of my word. So I'm gonna.
What if my impression's really bad and everyone's just lying to me all the time and I'm about to be like blown up on the spot?
It's ready to go.
Okay.
It's ready to send. If Kelly succeeds, I'm sending $2 to her.
This is a huge amount of money, you guys, especially for someone who's broke right now. Oh, I didn't say that on air.
No.
Well, I am broke right now, so this is really a life-saving amount of money for me.
I told them it was $2.
I know, but the joke is that it's $2.
All right, go ahead.
I'm really nervous. I'm having performance anxiety.
You're not even. This isn't live. It's just me and you right now.
Right. Hold on. I have to like embody her spirit. I'm gonna be in the Minecraft movie. Wow, you guys! I got my $2. I just got the Venmo notification. I did my little dance and I got my coins. For those who didn't understand my impression, it was Jennifer Coolidge who's going to be in the Minecraft movie.
Who do you think she's gonna play? I think she's gonna play like the little chickens.
What if she's the villagers and instead of them going like, they're like, hey. I feel like that would be pretty good.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. That is, I am so sad that you can't be correct because that's too funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
I love the villagers. I love that they're like.
And now you love Jennifer Coolidge, so this could be groundbreaking.
I do.
I think this movie is looking dumber by the day, but I'm more curious now.
Yeah, I feel like actually it's like circling back to being like, okay, like the cast seems a little bit silly, so
maybe they got something cooking.
Maybe something else is going on here.
They got something cooking. Speaking of people cooking, Square Enix, they got a big kitchen. They let us know that they're actually trimming back on some of their game production. That might sound like a bad thing, but they said that they want to reduce the number of games so that they can focus on higher quality games. I heard this and I was like, no, because I was thinking about games like Octopath Traveler or like the upcoming Visions of Mana, and I'm looking at those and I'm like, those are smaller titles, right? And then I just thought about the number of games that they've released, and there are games like Harvestella that came and went and nobody talked about it. Or do you remember Various Daylife?
Yeah, that's my favorite game. I have 1,000 hours.
Yeah. They have a lot of random games that people don't really think about, including one we're going to talk about in a minute. And I think that perhaps cutting back on these weird, like, hyper niche games are cool, but if you're making so many of them that none of them can hit, you're going to have a problem. Because, like, those games, especially Various Daylife, is like tapping into the market that they set up with like Octopath and that stuff. But Octopath still exists, and those games come out regularly. That team releases games regularly, so it's not like that niche is underfed. you know?
Right.
They're fed. They're happy. So I guess
Mhm.
it makes a lot of sense to focus on the bigger stuff, focus on stuff like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts and the Mana series, and hopefully keep games like Octopath that are kind of like mid-tier still going.
Yeah. Would you say Mana's bigger than Octopath?
Yeah. I mean, Mana's been around for decades.
But do you
Currently,
feel like people...
I think Octopath might be slightly bigger. Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel like Octopath at this point has more name recognition
Yeah.
than Mana, but...
But Mana also kind of died out and is making a revival of sorts.
Right.
Because like Trials of Mana hit pretty hard. People love that remake, but like I think Visions of Mana is going to be a big tell for what that series holds. I think Octopath is like probably a more committed niche at this stage.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. Well, we have a delay. This delay may come as a surprise to some. Because it was kind of a surprise to me. But Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, has once again been delayed and is has a final release date of September 5th, 2024.
That's okay.
So, you know, this is a delay that has been sort of ongoing for the main reason being that this is a Ukrainian studio, and obviously there is a lot going on in Ukraine right now. Not necessarily saying everyone there is working from Ukraine, but obviously that's put a huge obstacle in the development process. So I think it's nice that we got a release date, but this is one of those things that it's like kind of touch and go. And I think of any delay ever, this one's pretty understandable.
Yeah. And it's also a delay because it's only ever had Windows, and the latest window was Q1, which always seemed a little peculiar because it was like, especially now, it's like, oh, we're in Q1. Like, it's weird to be in the window and still not have a date. So at least now it has a September 5th, like, actual rock solid release date. And I imagine with the number of delays it's gotten, that's probably pretty set in stone.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the studio's doing well and that the people working there are able to focus on perhaps more important matters in their life and not fret so much about the video game release date.
Yep.
There is a video game that I'm fretting about the release date immensely. I would say it's probably the most important video game coming out this year. At least the most anticipated. Definitely the biggest video game in the industry. It's coming from our friends at Square Enix. You all know what I'm talking about. It's the February release of Foam Stars.
What? I thought you were going to say something else.
Wow, I gotcha.
You kinda got me.
Foam Stars got a release date way earlier than either of us guessed. That being February 6th. Not only that, it got a announcement of price. It's $30, 30 smackaroons, macaroni and cheeses. And it's going to be included with PlayStation Plus.
Yippee! Yippee! Yippee!
So Foam Stars, if you forget, is the Square Enix Fortnite-looking clone of Splatoon. I'm happy that it's free because I really want to play it.
I'm also going to be playing it.
We'll have a
we'll have a trio.
That's
the only game that we're gonna well, let's see.
That's the week of a much more important game, right?
4th, 5th, 6th. So that'll come out the day that our episode comes out. So
okay,
we'll be totally fine.
Okay, because Persona 3 Reload comes out the 2nd of February, and then that gives us 4 days to finish that.
Which I can do.
Mm-hmm. So we'll finish that game in 4 days, and then we'll be ready for Foam Stars on the 6th.
Right.
Which will be all-consuming. That'll be the only game we play for the rest of the year.
Yeah, probably.
I'm we're gonna try it, right?
Yeah, I'll try
I mean,
it. I'll take a break from Persona 3 to play Foam Stars and hate it and stop playing it after like a half hour.
it's Splatoon. The more I see of it, the more overt it is. Because like the Fortnite style made me think like, oh, maybe it's not just a Splatoon ripoff because it looks like Fortnite like graphically, but the gameplay it's like wildly Splatoon.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll do better at it than me because you've played Splatoon and I have not.
Yeah, and Fortnite, which you have played less than me.
But I have played it.
Yeah, but I
played it back in 2018.
Yeah,
so
and I have like 200 hours, which is one of my shames. I'm curious though. I think this is totally the only game we'll talk about today that perhaps has some plagiarism concerns.
Right.
It's the only one.
Right. A game with no plagiarism concerns, as far as we know, is Avowed, which we got a fun little game overview at the Xbox Direct last week. This was basically Obsidian being like, oh my god, you guys, we're so great. Remember Fallout New Vegas? Okay, check this game out. And then, we saw some combat. We saw some questing. I don't know. I wasn't like overly impressed.
Yeah, that's my big... I was underwhelmed, which disappointed me a lot because I had very, very high hopes for this game, and the combat looks very finicky, and like that's okay. It's Obsidian. Like if the RPG elements are there, that's more important. But like this trailer did not do a good job of showing RPG. It showed like two people talking in very boring ways.
Yeah, I wish we had a little bit more of like the story of like what the purpose of this game is.
Yeah.
It doesn't look terrible though. I mean, I feel like not to blow up your spot, but I felt like from what I read from yours and friend of the show Cameron's texts about this trailer, I was expecting it to look really bad.
Oh yeah, it's not horrendous. I think for me it was a combination of disappointment and also like the 90%, maybe not exactly, but the vast majority of this trailer takes place in like a sand world that has no color and like nothing dynamic going on. And like during the whole combat showcase, it's in like a circle of dirt, like a little sand circle. So I think it was just knowing this game is supposed to come out in the fall makes me concerned. Like it looks like a good early look, but this game's supposed to be theoretically like in a few months. I know fall could be like 9 months from now, but still, I don't think that's... I just am worried. I'm worried, and I want it to be good. I'm not worried. I'm not sitting here trying to dunk on it. Like, I want it to be great, but this trailer did not give me confidence.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel bad saying it because I was very excited.
No, I mean, I think that what they showed us is not finished.
I think a delay is very, very possible.
Yes. It just looks different. Like, I was expecting something different. And what we see is not what I was expecting.
I think it looks a lot more like Outer Worlds than it does like Skyrim. Which surprises me because the whole thing is like, it's like the Obsidian version of Skyrim. But I'm like, this looks like Outer Worlds with fantasy elements.
It does look like Outer Worlds. Which I didn't dislike Outer Worlds. It's not a very memorable game though.
Yeah, I just worry that maybe
Did you play Outer Worlds?
Not a lot of it. I've been meaning to go back to it.
It's like it's fun, but it's like I couldn't tell you a thing that happened in it other than there was like a priest companion.
I mean, I don't know if it translates. Just like because it looks like they used Outer Worlds as a basis in a lot of ways. I don't know if that translates perfectly to the vision that they have here.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll polish it up a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll see a polished version of it later down the line.
Yeah, I mean,
in the summertime.
theoretically,
maybe.
if it's coming out in fall, it should be a huge pinpoint in the June showcase. So,
Right.
we'll find out in June.
We sure will.
Something that we'll find out about before June, something that I'm very happy will not be in the June showcase, is Hellblade 2. Sorry, Hellblade, but I'm happy that you soon will no longer be in my shows. I'm excited to play it, but I'm sick of seeing it everywhere. And it's actually coming out earlier than I think most of us expected, and that's on May 21st. Available day one on Game Pass.
That is not what I was expecting at all.
No.
I can't believe this game is coming out. I can't believe it's coming out in May. Like, it's like all of this buildup, all of these years, the years and years of waiting, and now all of a sudden it's like, it's coming out May 21st, by the way. It's like, what?
It's also,
What do you mean?
they confirmed it's short, it's $50, and it's digital only.
See, $50 doesn't work for me.
Well,
I'm sorry.
you won't have to pay for it, but
My argument, though, is that if it's short, it should be 40, but they bumped it up to 50 because games nowadays are 70.
I'm going to say I think that 50, I've seen that the budget
I
warrants
think
a
all
50.
video games should be $30 or below.
I think they should just give them to me if we're going all the way.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be like, I think people should get paid what they deserve. I think CEOs should take pay cuts. I think video games should be a lot cheaper than they are right now. And I understand it's inflation. I understand these games cost a lot of money to make. Let's just stop doing that.
I think we're making a full capitalist reform discussion with that point, though.
My great economic advice to the Treasury, if you're listening, I know nobody's thought of this before and there are no complications. Just print more money.
No
problem.
I don't know if they had thought of that. I think you might be breaking new ground here.
I know. Well, I know. And I know there's no logistical issues, and I know that's a total possibility. So I think they should just do that and listen to me, and video games should be cheaper, and the price of living should be cheaper, and Hellblade 2 should be cheaper.
Okay.
Most importantly.
We did it. Most importantly, you think Hellblade 2 is more important than, like, housing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not gonna.
I guess
it
depends on your. No, I guess it depends on your priorities. I didn't play the first one, so I don't really get it. I don't know the story other than she hears the voices of dead people.
Well, no, she has psychosis.
Okay. But isn't she hearing like voices?
Yeah, they're not dead people. They're just voices in her head.
Okay.
But
you're sure they're not dead people?
Yeah, I played Hellblade.
What if it is revealed in Hellblade 2 that they're dead people? Are you going to feel silly now?
I would feel silly, but I'm going to put a lot of money on them not doing that because I think they have immense respect for psychosis and they don't want to make it about ghosts. Based on the fact that they pay a salary to a psychologist on staff to ask questions about psychosis.
Okay. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. I don't know the game.
Well, you will.
I didn't
on
know.
May 21st.
I didn't know it was a great social progressive moment in the history of gaming. I didn't know that.
I forgive you.
Feel free to cancel me on Twitter and Facebook.
No, don't cancel her on Facebook. She needs that.
But stay away from my Instagram
And your Tumblr.
How do you know I have a Tumblr? I've had a Tumblr since 2011.
I've met you. That's how I know.
That was way too young for me to be on Tumblr. Well, maybe not. I was what, like 14, 15? Well, it doesn't matter. I've talked about my Tumblr before.
Yeah.
On this very podcast. Something that I haven't talked about on this podcast yet until just this moment is the Indiana Jones game. The Great Circle.
It's
not of life.
That circle is so good.
It's a really awesome circle. This game is coming out this year, according to the reveal trailer that we got. There was some gameplay also in this trailer. You know, once again, we are fighting Nazis. This is pretty standard fare for Indiana Jones. It looks like Indiana Jones.
I mean,
what more can you say?
It's
first
classic.
person.
Ugh.
First person, single player. And for those of you who are fans of the Indiana Jones movies, it supposedly takes place before The Last Crusade.
Yeah, it's like a midquel. It's between movies.
Which is fine. I'm watching the trailer right now.
I was very disappointed. I mean, I knew it was going to be first person because Machine Games, but I was hoping maybe they'd like surprise and be like, no, it's actually third person. We're doing third person, but no, it's first person. And I have nothing against first person games, but when I'm playing a game where I am like so distinctly the character, I want to see them. If that makes sense. Like when I'm playing Spider-Man, I want to see Spider-Man.
Sure.
Like licensed characters like that.
But to be fair, Indiana Jones is kind of just a dude.
Yeah. I think,
but I get it. I get what you're saying. I think like if it was like you're traipsing dungeons, it would be cool to see him in third person.
I was also excited by like whip combat, and I think
right.
Inherently first person combat can't be as fun. When it's like the combat, I'm like high action. Like I wanted to play with the whip like I was like Dante from Devil May Cry. You know, I wanted to be silly about it, which doesn't work in first person. You know, first person is more methodical, I think, and more like shooty bang bang.
I think
I
might disagree with you. I'm just saying I think first person combat to me is more fun. It feels more immersive, but I understand your perspective.
I guess in my brain, I like viewed there's like different kinds of combat.
Yeah,
and I was thinking like high octane, like dodging, jumping around, multiple enemies around you.
If there's a lot of movement, I think a third person situation is better. Like think about Spider-Man, where you're like
surrounded.
You're taking on like 5 enemies at a time, 5+ enemies at a time.
And that's what I was.
But imagining. I think when it's a little bit more, you're playing like a superhero. You know what I mean? Versus like Indiana Jones, who's just like a guy. So to me, the first person perspective and the first person combat makes more sense narratively and thematically. And just like you said, like the developer, they don't really do third person. So, but I understand your perspective. There are different styles of combat. And I think that it could have been cool to see a third person Indiana Jones game.
Well, it's third person sometimes because, and they're advertising it as like a blend, but that's not true. To me, it's very clear that it cuts to third person when they didn't know how to animate certain things. Because like he'll like flip his whip up and start climbing the whip, and it just cuts to third person. And I'm like, I don't think that's a stylistic choice. I think you couldn't figure out how to make climbing a whip look normal in first person, so they just zoom out, and it looks odd. And it's also like it appears to be like what, maybe 5% or less of the game is in third person. I'm like, that's not a blend. That's a rarity.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, it coming this year, that's, if that's true,
it's pretty cool.
Big holiday game for Xbox. They didn't have one before this. Available day one on Game Pass.
Play it day one on Game Pass.
Wishlist
it now.
The surprise game that they added to this showcase is not coming to Game Pass, which made me sad because I was very surprised to see Visions of Mana make an appearance in this showcase. We all kind of knew there was going to be a 5th game, but we didn't know what the 5th game might be. Turns out it is Square Enix's Visions of Mana, which we only got one trailer for at Game Awards, and it was kind of, you know, it didn't show a ton of depth, whereas this trailer is a lot deeper and shows a lot of combat. They talk about music for a long time, which I think is really cool. They have a very good idea of what it looks like. I think this game looks visually really incredible. This trailer made me a lot more excited for it. They announced it's coming summer 2024, which we knew it was this year, but summer is maybe a little earlier than some of us expected. I think the only disappointment I had was that they were showing it in this showcase, so I thought maybe they were going to be like, and it's coming to Game Pass. Woo! But no, they didn't. They didn't do that. So you're going to have to pay full price for this.
Yeah. My only disappointment was the person playing the game for the gameplay.
Why?
Because I feel like they didn't do very good. They were like, they missed an orb in the sky. The combat, I mean, I feel like I could have done better.
So tell me.
Put me in the seat, and I'll play that game, and I'll play it well.
Okay, but what do you
and
think
I'll give you a nice little demo reel.
What do you think about the new rideable mount and with his tiny legs and giant body?
Well, I think that's interesting.
Did you see?
Because
did you see?
How do you have such tiny legs and such a large body?
Well, did you consider?
And how do you carry people?
Did you consider that it's perfect and you shouldn't question it?
You're right.
It's so cute.
I had not considered that. It looks like Cookie the cat.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
It looks like my cat if she was not my cat at all. If she was a big creature.
Yeah.
Spiky black fur.
Yeah. They said it's like a combo of lots of different animals.
It kind of looks like a dog cat to me.
They said like dog and armadillo and like, which the armadillo, like they soften the concept art. It does look like an armadillo, but they definitely softened it up in the final game.
Oh, it is really cute.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little more armadillo-y.
Yeah, because it's
I think
fluffy.
that's more
it's not
unique.
scaly. I think the scales might have been kind of cute, but
I think armadillos deserve justice. They've been portrayed negatively for a very long time now as cowards, as Sorry, there was a flashing light outside and I got distracted. It scared me. I thought they were coming for me.
Of course they are. Is there an armadillo Pokemon?
Yeah, Sandshrew.
Sandshrew and Armaldo.
And Sandslash.
And Armaldo.
Slash.
Are you a fan of Armaldo?
I have to... Oh, no. Wait, let me look. That's like one of the ancient ones, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. Not my favorite.
Anyway.
I think Rock and Bug are both really bad Pokemon typings.
All right.
And to have a Rock Bug Pokemon type, that's like double the flop.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All right.
It's funny that you ask about Pokemon because our next story is all about a game that is not Pokemon, but you would not be remiss to if you would not be incorrect if you thought maybe some of these guys were Pokemon, because we're talking about Palworld, which blew up, hitting 1.8 million concurrent players on Steam, which is pretty crazy. That puts it at the second most played game ever, underneath Counter-Strike 2.
No,
Palworld.
Wait, no, it beat Counter-Strike 2 today. Now it's below PUBG.
Right. Palworld, for those who don't know, is like Pokemon with guns. It's like an open world survival game. You catch the pals and they help you do stuff. They help you build. And it really looks like Pokemon.
So it's funny because I texted Kelly a couple days ago. Also, it passed 6 million sales. I was trying to figure out the new numbers. My goodness. Anyway, I texted Kelly and I was like, "Hey, you playing Palworld?" She was like, "No, not playing that garbage." And then I was nervous because somebody on this show that's not Kelly did play Palworld. To be fair to me, it's on Game Pass. The early access release of Palworld is on Game Pass. So I didn't pay for it. I was mostly just curious. I didn't know this was a survival game. I thought it was just Pokemon with guns. It's not. It's a survival game. I'd say it's more a survival game than a Pokemon game. Like, just going off sheer number of hours, like what I'm doing, the majority of the time is spent resource collecting, building things, resource collecting again, building things again. And then between those things, you'll go catch Pokemon or pals. The pals they're stolen. They're pretty blatantly ripped off. I don't think that that's necessarily... I think that stealing video game mechanics is okay because that's how genres grow. You know, if you couldn't steal video game mechanics, there would never have been a first-person shooter after Doom. Like, there wouldn't have been, there wouldn't be racing games after Gran Turismo. I don't know what the first racing game was.
Based on a true story.
Based on a true story. Like, all of these things, it would be like the first of a genre is the only of a genre, and you couldn't develop beyond that. So, like, I don't think that taking from other games is bad. The thing about Palworld is that it doesn't, like, because, you know, the movement and the catching, it does feel like Pokemon Legends Arceus a lot, which I like that game, and I think stealing that part and putting in your own elements would be really cool. But it doesn't. It steals that part, and then it steals the climbing from Breath of the Wild, and then it steals the building from Fortnite, and then it steals, like, everything it does is stolen from somewhere. And it's the kind of thing where it's, like, not legally enforceable, which is good. I don't think the Palworld should be sued, even though I think it's a little bit, you know, it's not the most creatively lush game ever. That doesn't mean it should be sued, in my opinion, because that is bad. I think that video games should be entitled to steal. Does that sound crazy?
No. I think you're right. I think that game mechanics get passed on through different versions of different games. I think the design aspect is a little bit questionable.
Yes.
I think that some of it is really, really blatant. Like, just changing models a little bit.
Yeah.
And none of this is, it's really hard to talk about it because when you see people talking about it in spaces online, everyone gets so mad so fast. It's like someone will say, hey, they shouldn't have stolen these Pokemon designs. This is obvious and blatant, like, plagiarism. And then someone will be like, oh, you're just a Nintendo fanboy. The $1 billion company doesn't need you defending it. And it's like, okay, that's not what's happening, though. What's happening is that an artist has had their work basically taken and changed to make it a little bit, I don't know, acceptable. And it just sets kind of a bad precedent for future games, I guess. So, but I agree. I think, like, the gameplay elements, it's like, who really cares? If you're playing it and you're having fun because you get to play a game where it's like it combines elements of other games that you really like and you like those elements, then it's like, who cares? Ideas like building are not, like, intellectual property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like, the way a character looks, the specific ways that their Pokemon eyes look, it's like, I don't know, it feels very skeezy, especially what we, you know, learn about this company and, like, what they've done in the past, and, like, the CEO is, like, really into AI and, like, crypto, and not to bring in all of these different outside elements, but it's like, it just feels icky.
And I think the thing for me is that none of this would matter if it was, like, a mid-tier game. I think it becomes such a big conversation because, I mean, we've known about this game for a long time. It was announced, or, like, we saw it for the first time at the Game Award, or sorry, not the Game Awards, at the Summer Jeffies this last year, and, like, we talked about it plenty. We thought it was funny, a funny concept. When I saw that game, I did not think it was going to be the second highest concurrent player count on Steam ever.
Yeah.
And it's been out since Friday. Today, we're recording on Tuesday. And it is still going up, you know? I don't think it's going to hit number 1 because, you know, Counter-Strike is just insurmountable, I think. But I also, when it, like, hit, like, number 8 of all time, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't think it was going to hit number 2, you know? Because today it passed Dota. And I'm sorry, I have these back. It's not going to pass PUBG. Counter-Strike it passed today. Just ignore me. I'm stupid. I just mixed up my names. You did the same thing earlier, and I think I was thinking about it's easy to make that mistake. But what I'm saying is, like, it's because it's such a phenomenon, that's why the conversation's happening. Because nobody really cared. Like, people were like, haha, they stole Pokemon designs when it was announced. But now knowing that this is the biggest game in the world at the moment, like, objectively speaking, it's just the biggest game in the world. It's going to be one of the biggest games of 2024. You know, it might be the biggest, but if it's not, it's going to be in the top 5 for sure. Maybe top 10 at the very worst if this year's crazy. I think that's where the conversation comes from, because it is sort of, you know, creatively adds nothing to anything. You know, it's fun to play, but it doesn't introduce anything interesting. You know, even like Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite stole PUBG's formula, but it added building. And the way it integrated building did change that game. And it made it more creatively interesting. So
Yeah.
This game doesn't feel like it adds anything so much as does a hodgepodge of things from other games.
Yeah. My thinking is I think this game will, with like respect to how popular it is right now at this moment, I think it's going to burn bright and fast.
Yes.
I think people are probably not going to be playing this game come like June. I think that it's going to fall off hard because I'm not sure what community support exists for the game. I also feel like the concepts that the game combines, they can find elsewhere in games that have better community support, like Fortnite.
Yeah.
And people who are like, oh, well, Pokemon needs a competitor. It's like, but this isn't really, you're not fulfilling the same gameplay desires that you are with Pokemon.
It's also
you're
like,
not catching Pokemon and going through gyms and going through the Elite Four. You're catching creatures to help them, to have them help you survive. It's like, it's not the same. And I feel like it's just going to be one of those flash in the pan kind of like big moments in 2024, but I don't think it's going to have like staying power. And I might be wrong. It might have great community support, but I just feel like the skeeziness of it all, I don't know.
Well, there's also,
I think people are going to get bored with it.
I know it's multiplayer, but like it's not multiplayer the same way a Fortnite or a PUBG is. Like, you can't just continually play matches. You're just entering a world. And that is something that can't sustain the same way that, you know, like Minecraft exists in that space because of the basically limitless creativity it provides. This game has a limit, you know? And I think it's going to be a phenomenon. I'm not going to put a expiration date on it, but, you know, it's going to stop growing at some point and then probably quickly fall. I'd say it's going to probably at least last a couple months. But I'm with you. It's not going to last forever. This isn't like, because PUBG, and that's the thing, Counter-Strike that it just passed today, is always at the top of the charts. You know, this game come next year, like 12 months from now, I'd be shocked if it was in the top 20. So
yeah,
unless, you know, because this is early access, I think it'll probably get another boom when the full game comes out, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, it's not a Pokemon game. It's a survival game that has Pokemon in it functionally, and the catching mechanics are like Legends Arceus to a T, which I like. I think it's cool to steal that. That's one of like the catching mechanics in Legends Arceus felt incredible, and I loved it. But I guess I'll just blend into a review of it because I played about 8 hours, and then I hit a wall where I was just like, I'm not having fun anymore. Because the whole thing is like, I love walking around the world and catching Pokemon. That's the part that they got from Pokemon, and they did very well. But the problem is I'm not huge on the survival mechanics because there's too many moving parts. There's so many moving parts, and the more you level up and the more you find, they just introduce more new moving parts, and none of them like get rid of old moving parts. You know, it's like, okay, in Minecraft, it's like, oh, there's the moving part of upgrading your equipment more and more and more. But when you upgrade your sword to a iron sword, you don't need the stone sword anymore. When you upgrade it to a gold sword, you don't need the iron sword. Like, you are upgrading. Whereas this game, you always need the base level stuff going at all times. And it's just a very frustrating process. You have to make Pokeballs, Pal spheres, as they're called on the game. And it's exhausting because you need to be constantly garnering resources just to make Pokeballs. So I'll be out in the field, and I'm going to call it the wrong name, I know, but like they're Pokeballs and they're Pokemon. I know that's Pals, Fierce, and Pals, but I feel silly saying that. Um, you'll be out in the field catching Pals, and I'm like, this is great, woo! I ran out of Pokeballs. Oh, that sucks. And in Pokemon, you go back and you buy them with the money that you earned from fighting battles, and you have no problem getting Pokeballs. In this game, oh, I have no wood, I can't make any Pokeballs. All right, I guess I'll spend 20 minutes getting wood so that I can build a few Pokeballs, and then have to repeat this whole process again.
Ugh.
And like, there's ways to streamline the whole thing. It's the survival game. That's the survival game's thing. But there's so many moving parts. Like I'm saying, like, oh, I also want to spend my time building armor and building up my base and building up my food and building up this and that and the other thing. There's too many things going on. And I could see the appeal for certain types of gamers in that. And I also could see appeal if you're playing with like a group, because you can play with up to 32 people, which is unhinged in my brain. That's too many people. That's crazy.
That is a lot.
But if I had a team of like 4 or 5 people and we were truly committed, I could see like all of us having tasks, and it could be fun. But then I feel like that also take out some of the exploration, because the fun for me is going out and finding new Pokemon. That's the part about Pokemon that it did pull off well. But because it falls short in other departments, like the combat doesn't feel good because there's too many things going on and too many mechanics going on. The first boss I fought, because there's 5 bosses in this early access, the first one I fought, it said, okay, you have 10 minutes to beat it. And I was like, no problem. That's so much time. And it's like real-time combat. It's not turn-based. It took 9 minutes and 40 seconds. And it was just like, he had 10,000 health, and it was just like chip, 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 chip. And I'm like, this is exhausting. And yeah, it's kind of funny when the green chipmunk is on my head with a submachine gun. That's silly. That is silly, and I kind of like it. But that doesn't, keep me interested in the whole package.
Yeah.
Visually, it's like fine. It looks like Fortnite and Zelda had a baby and then put Pokemon in it. It controls pretty okay. The menu system is rough on console with controller. I imagine it'd be fine with PC, but it's pretty rough on console. The management of items is exhausting. Your chests in your like home base, I would hope that your chests kind of communicate with each other, but sometimes your Pokemon will like pick up a piece of wood and put it in a chest, and I'm like, there are 500 pieces of wood in the other chest. Why would you put one piece of wood in this chest?
They're helping.
It's just exhausting. And like,
could you be nice to them?
I'm very nice, except for the ones I kill in the field with my bare fists. The first thing I did, I walked up, I was like, what do? I just walked up to a Wooloo. Then I don't remember what it's called, but it's, a ripoff of Wooloo from Pokemon. And I just walked up and I literally punched it till it died. And I was just like,
no.
Oh, is that how this works?
That's so upsetting.
It was, and then it's a Wooloo, so it like rolled away.
No.
I was like, no.
I can't deal with that.
It's very silly. It's, if you have Game Pass, give it a shot. It's fun. It's funny. Just if you're like me, expect to hit a wall, because I was just getting overwhelmed by the number of mechanics and stopped having fun. I was like, I just want to walk around the world and find new Pokemon, and I'm not able to do that because I don't have the resources to build the Pokeballs. And then all of a sudden, the levels jump on these Pokemon, and getting around the world is not easy. And it's a survival game, so you like die and then you drop all your stuff, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to go back. That's exhausting.
Yeah,
and you go back and
annoying.
You pick it all up, and your equipment doesn't automatically re-equip. So you have to re-equip everything.
That little stuff is like,
yeah,
definitely reeks of like early access.
There's some parts of it that are so early access that it's like, oh my gosh, this game, I imagine a full release next year could be like really transformative. And I'll keep my eye on it, If the full release is genuinely impressive, I might return to it in a year. I would guess more than a year. I think this will probably be in early access for quite a while. And then one huge, enormous nitpick is that I think nitpick means small and huge is big. No,
nitpick is like something that shouldn't be an issue, like, but it bothers you personally.
Okay, and that,
like, a nitpick would be like if I coughed a certain way.
Okay.
You were like, Kelly coughs that way, and it's so annoying.
That's true. That's a good example because you do cough annoying. Okay, then I'll change my word. One major issue on Xbox is the audio compression is unbelievably terrible. Everything sounds like a old, horrible MP3. The music is like crunchy. Every sound effect sounds really terrible. And I'm like, what did they do? The audio was just off the charts terrible on Xbox. And I've seen PC stuff. It's fine on PC, but it is terrible. And there's other like compression problems, like weirdly low resolution textures and stuff. And then I enter the boss fight and they like show a picture of the boss. And it was literally, I'm not kidding, maybe 144p. Like it was, and I was like, what? And then it cut back to like the 4K gameplay. And I was like, what was that? It was just a blur. And I was like, this is insane. So there's those, and I know that's early access, but like, oh my God, I had to turn the music off. I went into the settings and turned music to 0 because the music was just like, it sounded like, and I was like, this is awful. Which also meant the boss fight was just silent because there was no music.
Well, you needed to think about what you were doing.
Yeah. For 9 minutes and 50 seconds while I just ticked away at this guy.
They ran it through the cruncher.
They ran it. Oh my goodness. It's brutal, but I'm curious to see. I feel like we'll talk about this game again when it hits some new record. I'm disappointed that these sales don't go to games with more like creative excitement behind them. But like Pokemon sells fine. Pokemon sells just as well as this, so it's not like they're not stealing business. Nintendo does not need us to defend them. There was like a mod that came out that changed a bunch of the pals to Pokemon. Nintendo took that down. Nintendo said, no. So people who are like, oh, Nintendo's going to sue. I'm like, no, they're not.
I don't think they're going to either. I don't think they care that much.
No, because it's not going to affect their bottom line. And also, like, they couldn't win the case. Plagiarism cases are not winnable. So, especially in the video game industry, like where it's just like considered like inspired by, not stolen from. So, wow. Nitpick Kelly's yawn.
Sorry. I thought it was funny how the person who made the mod was like, Nintendo has come for me.
They did say that.
Oh my God.
I'm sure it was
Did
just
they kill them?
I'm sure it was just a regular takedown notice.
Cease and desist.
Yeah, just like stop.
Stop.
And then he took it down and they were like, thanks.
Yeah.
It's just a mod. He's not making money.
Right.
I guess I should talk about other games.
If you want.
I'll real quick talk about Limbo, Playdead's original game. This is by the same people that made Inside. I've never played Limbo, so I went ahead and popped that on last night. Played all of it. It's about 2 hours long. It's a really atmospheric side-scroller. I highly recommend this game. It's like dirt cheap on most things, or if you have Game Pass, it's included on there. I do think Inside is a much better game, but if you haven't played either, I'd start with Limbo and then go to Inside after that, because Inside is, Inside grows in so many ways that it learned from Limbo. I had a great time, though. There were some frustrating bits with platforming that I'm like, this game is not a platformer. I mean, it is, but like, it's not a tightly designed one enough that it deserves to make me this mad. But visually, thematically, I really liked it. So top of the line. I'm sad that I hadn't played this yet. I mean, it took me 14 years to get there. So you're welcome, Playdead. Now the game
I can't believe that game is 14 years old.
Isn't that crazy?
Ugh.
Yeah. That game is old enough to go to middle school. What do 14-year-olds do? I don't know.
They go to high school.
Oh, it's a freshman, isn't it? Limbo's a freshman in high school.
That's crazy.
Limbo's in the most awkward phase of its life, potentially. I also played somewhat new game, Persona 5 Tactica. I did not play this game when it came out in November. I felt like I was really late, but I guess I'm only 2 months late. That's not so bad, is it? All right. All right, Kelly.
No, I'm just kidding. I haven't played it either.
I was sitting there and I'm like, I want something straightforward and easy to play to lead up to Persona 3 Reload. And I'm like, oh, this game will last me till then. But I got really into it. It is a tactics game. You play as 3 of the Phantom Thieves of your choice. You don't have to play as Joker, which means you have a lot more flexibility with your party. And it's super easy between battles to switch characters. Basically, imagine like Mario versus Rabbids, but Persona. It shares a lot of DNA with that simplified tactical style. I liked it a lot though. It was super easy. I lost 0 times in my 22 hours, but that's okay. I could have cranked the difficulty way up, but honestly, I was just enjoying the mechanics, and like when you dominate, it feels great. You just destroy these enemies and do crazy things. And I really think if you're at all interested in tactical games, this is a great one to play. If you don't have a lot of experience, it's also a really, really good introductory point. Especially if you like the Persona 5 cast. They don't grow in this game. Like, they're pretty much set. This takes place in like the last 3 weeks of Persona 5. Like, they're just like, oh, we're just sitting around. We already solved the problem, but we haven't rolled credits on Persona 5 yet. Oops, we fell into another world. Now we're playing a different game. So like all of their development is done. But that means they get to just have fun and be cute.
Right.
And the new characters, there's a couple new characters in this game, do have development of their own. And I think they're really charming and likable. The art style is chibi. I really do wish it was not. Because I think like Persona 5 Strikers really hit partially because its visual style was like 1-to-1 with the original game. I think I would have enjoyed this game a little more if it wasn't chibi, especially because the story goes really dark places. And it clashes immensely with the chibi style. Like, I mean, like, incredibly, like, lots of death, lots of dismay, and it's all in this chibi art style. Feels kind of weird. And maybe they did that to lighten the mood a little bit, so it wasn't a dour game. But I really liked it.
Probably cheaper to make chibi.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, like, it was not a crazy deep game, but I had a lot of fun playing it. And like I said, 22 hours. I played it really, really fast. Still unemployed at the moment, in case you're curious. I don't know how else to explain finishing a 22-hour game within a week. But
that's okay.
I really highly recommend it to fans of... If you're a fan of Persona 5... Give it a shot, especially if you have Game Pass. I'd give it a shot. If you're a fan of tactical games, give it a shot. Maybe play Persona 5 first. If you're a fan of both, play it. Play it, for sure. You'll have fun. If you want it to be challenging, you can crank up the difficulty.
What if I'm a fan of Ryuji Sakamoto?
Then you should definitely play it. His shotgun is awesome because it has like spreads. You play like, you see like 3 enemies in front of you in like a spread, and you can shoot with the shotgun and like...
He's my little guy. He's my little pal.
And he's little because he's chibi.
Oh my god.
He's really good in this game. I mean, everybody's really good. And I will say, like, my party that I fell back on the hardest ended up being Joker, Haru, and Yusuke, which is, like, very much different from my Persona 5 Royal team. So it was very interesting because I don't care much for Haru gameplay-wise. But in this game, it's like her, when she uses her psychic powers, it pulls enemies closer to you. So you can do some really interesting things with that. And I'm not going to go over all the mechanics, but there's so many. And there's so much to dive into here. Also, the music is mwah, which is probably a given. If you know anything about Persona, it's a given that the music's going to be good.
Yes.
So Kelly,
yes,
Kelly's going to play the entirety of Persona 5 Tactica now before Persona 3 Reload comes out. Right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You're agreeing a lot.
Well, no, I'm not going to be playing that. I have to emotionally prepare myself to play Persona 3 Reload in a new way. Well, prepare myself to play Persona 3 in a new way by playing Persona 3 Reload.
Which I will be playing. Prepare? Yoga?
Probably. I need to practice some mindfulness.
Okay. Is that what...
That's pretty much it.
Oh, you like started squinting.
It's a long, emotional game. So I hope you're ready.
And it's going to be longer than it was originally.
Yeah.
There's going to be more game.
Yeah.
Ugh. The previews for that game make me just like... I just want to scream. And I'm not watching them because I don't want to see any more gameplay footage. But just what I've heard, I'm just like... Ah! Give me the game. Now.
Yep.
I've been polite. And then Kelly was such a little dingus yesterday and sent a picture of somebody who got their copy 12 days early and was like, Andrew, this could be you. And I'm like, Kelly, we are getting it on Game Pass. This cannot be us.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be us.
Unless...
What, Game Pass drops it early by accident?
Oops.
And then we have to go download it and then disconnect our console from the internet. Oh, but then you can't play Game Pass games. Let's see. We'll just go pirate it.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate solution.
Yeah, I don't think that would be an issue.
No. What is this? It's not Palworld. We're not stealing.
Right.
I don't quite get what I was saying there. I don't get the bit.
It's okay, because you know what? This has been a great episode. Full of fun, full of laughs, full of happiness, full of sadness, full of pain, full of joy.
Pain?
Yep. So
You're sad
next
and pained?
week. Yep. So next week, we might be in even more pain.
Why?
Or less. Because we'll be even closer to February.
Oh, to Persona 3.
And Final Fantasy VII Part 2.
I also want to say, because this, I'm sure listeners know, I'm a big fan of the Yakuza or the Like a Dragon series, and they probably are out there like looking at the fact that the new game got the best reviews that series has ever gotten in its entirety of in its decades on this earth. I'm considering it. Okay, I just played Gaiden. I feel like a tiny bit burnt out on the series, but those reviews, it's also like 50 hours long.
Yeah.
I don't know, y'all. It's a time thing. It's not even a money thing right now. Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, if it was a money thing, it'd be a definite, like, okay, Persona 3 Reload's free. I'll just play that instead. But this is a time thing where I don't want to buy another RPG.
Right. It's an investment in another way, in a different way.
I'm kind of hoping
than the traditional use of that word.
It looks right now like the summer might be quite the lull for video games. I'm kind of hoping that that's true, because I feel like I'm going to need catch-up time, you know?
What about mustard time?
Oh, I think we should probably call it.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. We hope you enjoyed. My apologies to all the pals that are being beat down by Andrew's fists.
I'm done playing. They're safe.
In Palworld. I hope that doesn't happen to you anymore. Thanks for listening. Have a great Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, Tuesday already passed. Have a great Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Maybe. Bye. Yeah.